All right, today's your follow-up video on our three 661s that had water in the gas. First cylinder's cleaned up. I left it a little bit rough. I didn't polish this super duper. This one's got some decent scoring on it. That'll clean up nice. I should have showed you before on that one, but I got going and that one's water polished. But so we'll scuff all that up. So here's what I'm using. I'm using some 120 to get the bulk of it, of the transfer from the aluminum piston, and then finishing with 320. And I'm just using my die grinder here. Let me back this out. This is a long shank burr bit. That's a valve guide, just so I got something to hold on to help control it. And then I've just got like a little piece of tape underneath here that's taped to the mandrel, and just wrap that up and then whiz it away. All right, less than a half a sheet of 320 to finish. And then we had some sanding discs around here at the shop. I normally do this with my Fordham, but I wasn't going to drag that up here for this. But I mean, you know, you see what little bit of material I used. Here's that first one I already showed you. She's good to go. Here's the second one. There's some shadowing there. I mean, there's nothing you can see there. And she's all good to go. If you look way down in there, there's one little scratch in the plating, you know, but that is a low spot, if you'll think about that, highs and lows. So nothing hurt there. And same thing on this one. A couple of light scratches, but it's nowhere near the exhaust port, so that's not going to hurt anything. And again, those are low spots. Those are, you know, small gouges. You're not going to lose any compression or anything like that. These will be 99%. I mean, you know, if you want to do this right, then just go spend $400 for a new cylinder and piston times 3 plus my labor. Or you can drop a brand hammer new piston in there for like 110 bucks. I'll see what the invoice is when I get back. But I think he told me they were like 105 plus tax. So that'd be, you know, 112-ish. Anyway, off to the dealership. Let's go get some piston kits. All right, I've got all 3 crankcases cleaned up and flushed with some mixed gas. So basically what I've done is just cleaned up all the mating surfaces. Get out of the way. And then just fill the crankcase, cycle the crankshaft over, and get whatever debris out of the crankcase. And you'll be able to know, you know, you'll hear like a rar, rar, rar if you've got trash in the bearings in it, if it needs to be replaced. You know, none of these were like horribly scored, so you're gonna have to make that own decision based on how bad and how much grit and how long it ran. You can hear a little bit on that one, but you know, this one's still pretty good. So here are the pistons for each one of those. And this one didn't get it too terribly bad. You can see all this one. So anyway, now I'm off to the parts store. I'm not going to take you through every last one of these, but here's some of the high points of what I've done. Is I've snuck in there, I put a pinhole in my 2-stroke oil. We got some samples in from Schaefer's. This is actually really good. I haven't done any long-term tests with the 9000, but I use 7000 for years, and it's fantastic at 32 or 40 to 1. Anyway, so with a little pinhole in here, I can be really precise. You know, a couple of drops in that bearing, a couple of drops in the flywheel side bearing, and then a couple of drops on the big end of the rod. And the needle bearing will get a little bit of love as well. Because we know we had water intrusion, I've cleaned out the tank, compressed air. I've got some fuel filters, so this is going to get a new fuel filter. I did just take the carb apart, blow it clean, make sure I have no more contaminated fuel in here, and I'm going to put all this back together. Pistons were 116 each. All right, got my circlips installed. They're all nice and tucked in. I did save my old ones, and always save your old ones from when you took the old piston out. I was putting this first one in, and it bounced off the light fixture above me in a very Bugs Bunny-esque ricochet off of everything in my work area. All right, you'll see I've got a super light film of grease. I didn't even go all the way to the top. I just put like 4 or 5 drops and then worked it around right there. Word to the wise, ask me how I know, don't use too much 2-stroke oil in the bore right here. What you'll end up doing is when you go to start this, if you use too much oil, the oil will stick to your spark plug and foul it out, so you'll sit there and pull and pull and pull and pull and pull. Just a little bit. I might even clean up what's dripping right there, because those rings, these brand hammer new rings, are going to wipe all that and push it towards the top. All right, cylinder's on, that's torqued. When you put your muffler on, most of the steels, you've got like a little bit of wiggle room once you get your 2 bolts started. Those aren't tight by any stretch. If you'll just put those in there to locate this, so once you torque those down, you can put your cover on and then everything lines up. And then all we have left to do is just put that box of stuff on that. All right, carbo hooked back up, linkage looks good. Tuck your wires in, don't be that guy. Make sure everything's all nice and where it's supposed to go. Don't be slack. There's another little present for me today on my bench. Looks like the rest of the saw is okay. I love this. Chain brake broke. Well, where's Paul Harvey at when you need him? And the rest of the story. 1 down, 2 to go. 2 661's. Today's episode's been brought to you by the number 3. Anyway, I started at 8 o'clock, went and fetched the pistons. It's 11:30 now, and all 3 of these are finished. Just need to pull the cord on them. New fuel filters, everything else seems to be okay with them. So let me pull some cords and see if we can't make some racket. I guess that's what I get for talking all that shit. I cannot get this saw to idle. I've tried to run it through. It'll start up on triangle and run at that choke reset speed. Wide opens, no problem. As soon as I come off the throttle, it just falls down on its face. So I've taken the temperature sensor, throttle position sensor off. I'm gonna pull the fuel solenoid out and make sure that I don't have passage for the idle circuit. And just to give you an idea, you know, it doesn't take a whole lot. This is like a T8 screwdriver, or yeah. So anyway, that's your idle circuit. So let me see if I can't flush that out and see if we can get this rascal to idle. Okay, that did the trick. So you got a smaller hole, that's for your idle circuit. I just gently used some brake clean with the straw and just started pecking away at that small hole until I could get some fuel out of that little pinhole right there. And it was obstructed, so I'm hopeful that this will idle now. We'll see. All right, that's it for today. Throw me a thumbs up, that like button, throw me a comment down there. See you in the next one.